Today I'm sharing about applying for the Greenlining Institute's Leadership Academy. I'm an alumna of this program. I did their summer associate program in the summer of 2014, and it was a transformational experience. They also have a fellows program that is a year-long experience, and with both programs, it really is an incredible experience in learning public policy as well as gaining confidence as a leader who wants to work on racial equity. This is a great program to enhance your experience and your skills before applying to grad school or before applying to full-time jobs. I sat down with the Leadership Academy manager, Jamina Obude, to ask her about the experience of being in the Greenlining Academy. I also share a little bit about my own experience and some tips for how to apply. So Jamina, I'd love if you start out telling us about Greenlining and its mission.
Greenlining is an organization, a nonprofit organization based in Oakland, California, that does research, advocacy, and leadership development to bring about systemic change through public policy with a racial equity lens. The Leadership Academy is an arm that was attached to the beginnings of the organization when the founders really wanted to be sure that they were succession planning. Our Leadership Academy really takes a holistic approach to support emerging leaders with building themselves professionally, learning the technical skills to do public policy and with a race equity perspective, and also to develop personally as leaders to really understand who they are, what are their strengths, what are the values, and how do they lead with purpose and vision that kind of marries that professional investment as well as the personal investment to bring about the kind of transformational learning and experiences that we want our leaders to have.
Something I love so much about this program is that idea of leadership development. So I'd love if you can tell us a little bit about what is like that special sauce that helps people actually gain confidence and develop as leaders.
And there's tons of programs out there that'll help you get the technical skills, get you that on-the-job experience and training. And what Greenlining does, it takes us the next step of that process where we're not just teaching people how to do this work, we're teaching people how to be advocates. We're also teaching people how to understand themselves, really starting with themselves as leaders to then shape the way that they lead externally. I think the most unique piece of our program is that investment in the self and is that investment in inviting people into a process that has them asking those hard questions. What are the conditions from our society that you have internalized that are now becoming barriers to your growth? And how do you unlearn those lessons to then get yourself to the next level? And so part of the experience is really facing those fears that a lot of early career folks might have about really stepping into more responsibility in their roles. Through this experiential learning and through the rigor of our programs, folks are really able to accelerate in a way that they couldn't in any other space.
What you're talking about is dealing with like a lot of personal things first, like who you are. And with Greenlining, with my experience there, I had never been in an environment that was predominantly people of color and people of color leadership. I have been in a lot of environments where I am one of the only people of color. I didn't realize how much I have trained myself to code switch in that environment where I'm like, okay, I got to be professional Lauren now. And in one of my first jobs, I had a boss tell me that I needed to be more professional. And he gave some examples of how he wanted me to be. And I really took that and internalized it as like, you're too much. Like my loud, crazy Latina self had to be like way toned down. And I had internalized that. And I was like, okay, be Lauren that's like on point right now, go into class, raise your hand, that kind of thing. And to be in an environment where all of a sudden I saw my asset as a woman of color, as a person who's like lived firsthand a lot of the issues that I'm now working on, that is in itself a value and an asset. Whereas a lot of the times being a person of color, coming from the hood, those are barriers, that you have to overcome. And all of a sudden I got to re-see those things as assets that gave me validity in being able to go raise my hand, speak my mind, and give my opinion. And this was in the summer after my first year of grad school. And that reframe and that confidence made me go back to grad school being like, I deserve to be here and my voice matters and my opinion matters. And I carried that into the work that I did in the future. That focus at Greenlining of who you are, what you believe in, what you care about, what you're about, that actually was the most important part. way more important than the policy research that I was doing. And it was amazing that I got to do really awesome work. I learned a lot there too, but it was the personal stuff that ended up being the most value and transformative of the program.
Oh, that is so, so powerful, Lauren. Thank you for sharing that story. And it's one that we see every single cycle. Like you were saying, understanding your inherent value, not devaluing your story, using that as your anchor and using that as your North Star in the ways that you talk about solutions, in the ways that you talk about community, in the ways that you interrupt racism. And that's one of the things that we really look for in candidates is folks who are interested and ready for those kinds of interrogations. That is a really integral part of this work and this experience.
Yeah, definitely. And you have such a great process of doing that. Like you have a technique and a method to do that because you consistently do that over and over and over. And so I'd love to hear more about what is the actual academy. If you could tell us about the different fellowship options you have and what those programs look like.
So we have two programs currently. The Summer Associate Program, which is a 10-week program in the summer, starts the second week of June and goes through mid-August. And then we have our fellowship program, which is 11 months starting in early September. The most distinct thing between the two is the amount of depth that you can go into. So our summers have much less time on the job. And so they're really getting introduction to public policy. They're getting pretty finite projects to do public policy memos or policy briefs, to learn how to do lobbying. They support the organization with our annual lobby day. Getting that introduction to the things we've been talking about is learning how to influence, learning how to do public speaking, learning how to write for advocacy. And the fellows get that same introduction, but then they have more time to go deeper. And then as far as programming, we have a monthly retreat called First Fridays, where we meet with external partners. There are other leaders in the field doing social justice work who come in and share their perspective and their experiences and key lessons. And we also use that space to bond as a cohort, to do storytelling, and learn key concepts around leadership. And then also they get a lot more support with kind of career planning.
Yeah, it's so great that you work so holistically with really developing the person. In a lot of other kind of programs I've done, you're there for a moment and then you never really hear from them. Maybe you stay in touch with people you knew from there, but there's not this like holistically thinking about you and what is your future. And so this idea of like greenlining is building the future of racial equity leaders. Like I totally see that, and just seeing where alumni go and how alumni stay plugged in and coming back to maybe deliver workshops or to be a powerful network. When I was a summer associate, like Monday through Thursday, we had a lot of work to get done with, the research or writing we were doing. And then we had Fridays was all about us. And it was really inspirational to hear about different work happening in the field and to get experience with public speaking. I think Greenlining still does this, where they set up cameras and they interview you about your topic and you practice public speaking. And it's so incredible because you don't often get that practice kind of experience in a safe space where you're also very supportive. Like I remember when I was drafting my first policy research report, I was like telling my boss, like I've never written a policy report. I don't know how to write policy recommendations. And she's like, it's okay. We're going to help you. You're just going to take a first crack at it. And then we will look at it and show you like how to improve it. And I remember that thinking that was so nerve-wracking to just be thrown into the deep end. But then the wraparound support from not only the staff, but the academy program, where we had so many people we can go to help us on different types of things, like the communications team, getting their help and feedback on the writing was really incredible. And then knowing that, if we didn't know how to talk to our boss about something that we were feeling, we could go to the academy leadership team and say, hey, I don't know how to bring up this topic, and get support that way. I actually wanted to take on more responsibility and go to Sacramento more and work on policy more, but I felt I didn't feel confident to bring that up with the health policy director. And I remember talking with the academy director. We went on a walk and he gave me the courage to just ask for what I wanted to do and to step up. And then I took that skill in my future jobs. Like when I wanted more responsibility, I asked for it. I didn't wait for someone to just notice me and give me more things to do. I'm like, I'm going to go ask for what I want. And so that's what I love about Greenlining. It's like it's a safe space where you're practicing developing skills, and then you're also getting support at the same time from the staff and the leadership team. And then you take that in and then you apply it in your future career path. And then you come back and be a speaker at Greenlining one day, or, you give back to the organization later. So it's like, it really feels like this full cycle.
Definitely. And that is really intentional. Being connected to folks and being able to reach out to people that are aligned with your values and your perspective on leadership. One, it's really helpful as you move forward in your path to have a network of people that you can turn to be a litmus test. So to have people to turn to get support in that way, your career and your personal life, is definitely part of what we're trying to do here, is really support people holistically throughout their career. And this is that seed planting place that you always have roots with. We have over 1,000 alumni in our network. It's a really powerful network of incredible people. Some notable alumni: Matt Haney, who's the current supervisor in San Francisco in District 6. Jane Kim, who was a former supervisor, ran for the city mayor. And Millicent Johnson was also on the San Francisco Planning Commission. And so really powerful people are in this network of folks that we want to make sure our alumni have access to.
When you meet someone who's a Greenlining alum, who's gone through this kind of experience that really is transformational, you're already going to vibe with that person. Like you have a shared language, a shared identity that you're a part of. And as an example, I was at an event in LA and I see this guy who has a Greenlining bag. It's like a free bag that we all get when we work there, right? And he has this bag and I'm like, hey, like you're a Greenlining alum. And then I find out who he is. He's the president of the Disney Foundation. We started chatting. He's like, I'm hiring program officers right now. Are you interested? And it was cool to know that like, that's how strong the Greenlining network is.
People that are leaving this program are skilled, are brilliant, are doing incredible things and have a lot of potential.
Yeah, definitely. And, one of the things that makes a Greenlining alum really kind of reliable when you're networking and you're hiring is because of the rigor in which you select fellows. It's competitive. You are picking the best and the brightest. And so I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about the application process.
Yeah, it is quite competitive. We get 300 to 500 applications every cycle. And currently with our 2 programs, we have 10 positions with our summer associate cohort and the 5 to 6 for our fellowship cohort. You need to submit a resume and you'll need to submit a response to our personal statement. It's 2 prompts listed in the application. And then you need to select your top choice policy team and your second choice policy team. So you want to be sure to go on our website and understand what those 5 areas are and what are your top 2. And then you'll need to submit your application through the Greenlining website, which you can access by going to the About section and dropping down to Careers. And I want to note that you can apply to both programs, though you can only participate in one. This year's personal statement prompts are: why are you seeking an opportunity to do public policy work with your first choice policy team? And then, given the events of this past year, what compels you to lead in this moment? And what impact do you hope to make in yourself, your career, and/or community? And maximum 500 words. That's for each one. We're looking for folks who are earlier on in their careers, so people who are new to the working world, who want to learn public policy. We're also looking for folks who have a deep commitment to racial equity. Don't be afraid to talk about race, talk about systemic oppression. Really invite folks to tell a compelling story. Show us who you are. Show us more of what makes you you and why you're interested in doing this work with us. That's a super, super crucial part of crafting a compelling and successful application, is really pulling back the lid and sharing with us what makes you tick, what's important to you, and why is it important for you to do race equity public policy right now. We're looking for folks who have passion for this work and really want to make change through systemic levers of public policy, and also looking for folks to share your vision for systemic change through public policy. What do you see? What do you hope for? Lastly, really looking for folks to demonstrate that they have a clear understanding of your top policy team's work. So you can do this by going to our website, looking at our blogs, your top teams section of the website, and really understanding what their priorities are for this year and what they're looking to advance through their issue area. And then telling us what resonates with you and why it is that you want to do this work.
That's a big application to essays. It's similar to applying to graduate school. You really want to take time to research the organization and the issue areas. What I find really compelling when I read someone's essay is when they actually can name specific policies that Greenlining is working on. So, you see on the website policies that Greenlining's helped pass. They have lots of reports. You can scroll through those and try to understand, what are these energy policies that Greenlining's working on, and what is your take on those, or how would you want to work on those things? I think something else too that I find really different about Greenlining is that they really do care about who you are as a person, and being vulnerable and sharing personally about why these things are important to you, how maybe you've overcome some of your own barriers in some of these issue areas. That makes a really compelling story for who someone is. And like we were talking about earlier, a lot of times the things that we devalue are things that Greenlining loves to identify and uplift. Like we see stories of people who are, single moms who maybe didn't finish college and now they're coming back to do work that's really important to them. Or, like there's so many incredible stories of people who are really passionate about this work, and to really make sure that you uplift that in your application.
Definitely. And, we're really looking for folks who may not have access to these kinds of experiences without this program. People who are first gen, people who come from low income backgrounds, people who want to make a difference in this way, but don't have the personal network to reach the positions that they would need to get to in order to get the experience and then do this work. So we're in the business of removing barriers for people to access positions of power, access opportunity, really highlighting that you are someone that needs this opportunity, and because you wouldn't otherwise get that access, is also something that we're really looking for and hoping to provide to folks who are applying and coming into our programs.
That's such a great point to end this on. When you can show your potential to grow, that's really what Greenlining is doing, is they're investing in you as a person. And so they want to see that you have room to grow. If you are someone who is really amazing, you have this amazing career, you have a PhD, this is probably not the right program for you because you're already successful in what you're doing. And Greenlining is really looking for people early in their career who this is going to help catapult them to really be a top leader in their field.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Jamina.
And it was a pleasure to join you today. If there are any questions, please do reach out to me. I'm happy to check in with you. You can email me at academy@greenlining.org.
Applications are due February 7th for the Summer Associate Program and February 21st for the Fellowship Program.